Recently, we did a video on the channel about some of the most overpowered players in Football Manager. In fact, we've done a whole series on that, and there's probably more of those videos to come. But in the last episode of it, I asked you guys to let me know in the comments down below who your favourite overpowered players were in FM, and we got plenty of suggestions. So I've took the top 10 suggestions that I could find, and today I'll be taking a look at your favourite players, reviewing them and saying whether I think it's a good pick or whether you're completely lucky in your save to have had this player do well, and just take a look generally at some of your favourite players. Maybe we'll find some gems. Before we get into it though, my name's Jake for FMSCOUT, and I'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and smash that like button for us. It would really help in the video's performance, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, feel free to do so. And the last thing, and probably the most important thing of all, is if you want us to review your favourite player, then drop their name in the comments down below. Feel free to let us know why you love them as well, and maybe we'll do a follow-up to this, looking at more. Who knows, maybe it can be a whole series. Maybe this will be one video and that's all we ever do. Maybe you guys will really enjoy the series, and if so, we'll continue it. It's something that we're trying, so don't forget, if you do enjoy it, to show your support by hitting that like button. You guys here have saved me a job of searching for players. You've given me a list of 10, so let's take a look to see if they're any good. Probably the most well-known player on this list is Josip Sotalo. Now, he was one of the top comments, and with some of these players, I had no idea about them before, but with Sotalo, I was very much aware of him. He's not the kind of player that we'd really cover in a video because he's not a wonder kid, he's not like a really cheap player, but if you haven't already checked this man out, he is, for me, one of the best centre-backs you can sign. I think in real life too, he is going to play for an elite team soon. He already plays for a good one in Dinamo Zagreb out in Croatia, but I feel like there's another level for him to go up to be in one of Europe's most elite teams. He's valued currently at about £20 million. He's got great attributes all around, a good passer as well of the ball, 22 and years to get better. This one, without a shadow of a doubt, is a great pick. So to anyone who suggested Sotalo, I'll give you that one. He is a great player. If you haven't yet tried him out in your defence, sign him up. Usually he'll move quite quickly to a big team, so try and act quick on him and he could be a star for you. Now this one is great. This is a player that was actually in the video where we got loads of comments, but I just had to bring him up again because of all the comments that we got about this man. So I brought him up as a potential overpowered player, saying he scored a few goals in my saves, and I think he's got the physical attributes to be very dangerous. The man's quick, he's strong, and he's like good in the air as well. Good heading ability, good finishing, great work rate. There really didn't seem to be too much wrong with him, so I suggested him as a, a good overpowered player to potentially sign. Then you guys started commenting saying that you already know about him. Not only do you already know about him, loads of you absolutely loved him. I believe there was one comment saying they thought he was the best player in the world, another one saying that they were going to name their firstborn child after Beto, and that is how good people believe him to be. And I have to say with this one, I feel like you guys are right. From all the stories that we've heard, when I brought him up originally, I could tell he was probably going to be very good in the in-game engine with those physical attributes that seem to dominate this year, and you guys backed it up with the amount of suggestions for this player to be your favourite. £15 million for a 24-year-old striker. Wait a season or so of him playing at Udinese, let him recover from this injury, make an offer for him, and I'm sure he is going to score you goals for fun. Based on the sounds of it, this guy's an absolute beast in game, and I'm sure he'll be great for you. Now, this is a player I hadn't really came across before. I feel like I might have seen him here or there, but he's not someone that I've really focused on, as far as I'm aware at least. But he was mentioned in the comments a couple of times. His name is Patrick Pfeiffer, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and he plays for Darmstadt, a team in the second division of Germany. Now, you might hear the team he's in, see his transfer valuation, and assume he's not going to be very good, but this guy, I feel, is at a pretty elite level. I mean, straight away, if we look at his valuation, it's about £2 million for a 22-year-old, so years to get better yet, who's 6'5". He's quick, he's strong, he's brilliant in the air, he's got great pace as well, the mental attributes aren't really too weak, and his defending attributes are also pretty decent. I feel like he's a Premier League level centre-back, or at least for a lower level Premier League team, he would be an incredible player, and at such a price as well, you really can't go wrong. Got a year left on his deal, maybe you could even sign him for completely free as his contract expires. He's someone that I haven't really tried out yet, but now I feel like I probably should, and if I give a rating to all of these players so far, if all the other ones that we've looked at were 10 out of 10 players, Sotalo and Beto, I'll give Pfeiffer here a 9 out of 10. I think you guys have made a good call with him. The only thing I might say about him is his defending isn't the world's best, but you're not going to expect that for a £2 million second division player. player. Outside of that though, he is a great call, and it doesn't surprise me much that he's overpowered in game. Now your suggestions came from far and wide, from teams in the top divisions to players in leagues and clubs I'd never really heard of, and this one was one that I was really surprised by. I feel like he might have came up in a bargain video a while ago. If not, I'd be very surprised that we've never came across him, because he is an absolute gem. The guy's name is Mohammed Ali Ben Ramadan, and he plays for ES Tunis, a side out in the Tunisian divisions. Now he is a phenomenal central midfielder, 22 years old, 6'1", and if you're talking about him in a box-to-box role, he's got everything he needs with great attributes all around, a really good spread where, yes, he's not the world's best at anything, but he's also got absolutely everything in his locker, from goal scoring to passing to decent tackling as well. The vision's there, the physical attributes are there. Again, another one whose contract is expiring very soon, transfer valuation of a few million. You guys are really getting this right. Like, I thought I'd have a few duds in this list, and we might still yet, but Mohammed Ali Ben Ramadan, if you haven't signed him yet, again, Premier League level quality in my opinion. Lower down Premier League level, but still a really high quality player. A great call from you guys. I'll give him a 9 out of 10 also. Some nice player traits as well. Already 22 appearances for Tunisia at the age of 22. I'm sure he's going to get more. A great call from you lot. Let's move on to the next one. Before we do vote, just want to let you guys know that I do have my own channel linked in the description down below, where we have some rebuild videos as well as some YouTube shorts on Wonderkids you might not have heard of. Really appreciate any support from anyone that's willing to come on over and check the channel out. I'd massively appreciate it, but let's take a look at our next player in this list. And this is player number 5 out of 10. Now, in the comments down below, this was brought up by one singular person who said, you really need to know about this man, Juan Miguel Lata, who's on loan at Getafe from Real Madrid. Now, Getafe are a team in the first division of Spain. They've got this man. I don't know whether he's expected to be a regular starter for them or not, but according to the comment that we got, the person in question was managing Real Madrid, had this guy out on loan at Getafe, eventually brought him into the Real Madrid first team after his loan, replaced Benzema up front, and I believe from what he said, he broke all kind of records, got more player of the match awards than Benzema. Apparently, according to him, felt like he was better than Mbappe in game and was just all around an absolute star. Now, let's be honest, I don't feel like this guy is Mbappe level, but that's not to rule out what that guy said. There's a good chance he had him in a good tactic in a great Real Madrid team, and sometimes you can just have a player hit a good bit of form in Football Manager and really come into their own. In most cases though, I feel like this guy is about Getafe quality. I don't feel like he's Real Madrid quality. I don't think, based on his attributes either, that in most saves he would be really good. I feel like this guy must have really been using him to his maximum level, because to me, he's a good striker. He's probably going to get released by Real Madrid in most careers, and that'll be that. I don't see too much special about him. I mean, his technical attributes are pretty decent when it comes to the heading and finishing, but the physicals aren't great, the mentals aren't great. If you are the person that commented, let us know what tactic you're using to make this guy so good, because to me, he just looks fairly average. Maybe it's a 6'4" height, I'm not sure, but this is Juan Miguel Lata. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10, because realistically, he's a decent player, but nothing too special. I don't think he's all that overpowered, but maybe you've just had really good luck with him. He did mention in the comments, maybe it's some kind of glitch in his save. It won't have been a glitch, you just would have had him maybe in a really good tactic or in a really good vein of form. In most cases though, I don't feel like this guy is as overpowered as some of the others. If I didn't mention already, there's 10 players in this list and we've gone through 5, so let's move on to our next one, and it's Andrea Papetti, the centre-back playing for Brescia, a team in the second division of Italy. If the name rings a bell, it's because he was one of the best Wonderkids you could get, I think last year, maybe the year before. In Football Manager, he was like dirt cheap and really good quality with loads of potential. He's still pretty cheap for the player you're getting. He's still got loads of quality and potential, not as much as he used to, mind you, but there was someone saying that they really love Papetti and that he's still really good in this year's game. And I'd have to agree with the person. I mean, he's 19 years of age, contract expiring at the end of his first season makes him very cheap. Physical attributes, really well rounded, maybe not the tallest in the world, but he can defend well, he can pass decently well. I feel like the guy is a good centre-back, maybe not able to play at a Premier League level straight away, but certainly eventually. Is he massively overpowered? Probably not. If you're looking at Patrick Pfeiffer that we looked at earlier, who I gave a 9 out of 10 to, I'd consider him possibly a better player. Papetti at 19 has a few years to get to Pfeiffer's level and maybe is better in the defending elements as opposed to Pfeiffer, who had the real physical traits. But Papetti for me is a very good centre-back option still. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. A good call in the comments. If you can sign him, I feel like you'll get a lot out of Papetti. A good centre-back, but I wouldn't say crazily overpowered in the in-game engine. Our one and only Wonderkid in this list, I believe, is Breno Biden, a player that someone in the comments was talking about very highly. Pellegri as a real star in his save. Now he's a Wonderkid, so he's obviously talented, 17 years of age, playing for Corinthians, valued at about £5 million. And I have no doubt that if you trained him right and got him with high potential range in your save, which is all down to the throw of a dice really, then he could be very good. But in most cases, I feel like there's better Wonderkids out there at the age of 17. He's still a very good player, mind you. I'm not underestimating that fact at all. But I wouldn't really say he's like a top tier player. I don't think he's going to blow people away. You're probably going to have to develop him for another 3 or 4 years before he's really usable at a high level. And even then, you might have been able to get better options for cheaper. So I'm not ruling this guy out. He's obviously a Wonderkid. He's still very good. But it's not as good as some of the other calls, I don't think. I'll give him a 7 out of 10 because depending in the right save, he could be really good. But Breno Biden, I appreciate him, but I don't think it's one of the best calls that we've had. Again, though, I must point out that all of the experiences people have had in the comments are all completely valid. You might have had a save where a player becomes a star, and that's what we love about Football Manager, right? Having a random player end up being amazing for you, winning you titles that you never heard of before. That is half of the fun and makes you feel like a top manager when it does work. But if we're talking about straight out of the tin players that we can just put into our team and score 50 goals a season or, keep 20 clean sheets, then I'll give a higher rating to those kind of players. But the player we're looking at now is Pietro Pellegri. Now, I can't remember the exact comment, but it was one of the highest ones we had, and someone was saying that he became one of the best strikers in world football, scoring loads of goals, Champions League level quality striker, Champions League winner level, by the way, that is. And he is a very interesting case, a player that was a Wonderkid for years and someone that was really highly thought of, has found himself at Torino, hasn't really found a home in football yet, was at Monaco for a few years, didn't get too much game time, ended up at Milan and then Torino now, where I don't know if he's settled in real life or anything like that, but he looks like the kind of player that just needs to be given that chance. I mean, the physical attributes are okay, same with the mentals, same with the technicals. There's nothing too stand out about him, nothing too awful either. At the age of 21, there's still clearly a good player in there. I'd say, a decent Serie A level striker seems about right. If you were managing PSG though, would you be looking for this guy to be a great striker for you? Is he a Champions League winning striker? I'd argue not, but I could see how you could get really good performances out of him. I do feel like he has got the ability to be a really good player, and I'm sure if we have a look, he'll have a fixed potential rating, but you can see it's not massively high at 155. I didn't know that before we looked at him, but I was going to say I'm sure he's still got some decent potential because he used to have loads, and there's clearly a good player in there. With the right development, I could see how he could be really overpowered in the in-game engine, but I think straight out the tin, he's one that's hard to gamble on. Do you want to pay £10 million for him? We looked at Beto earlier, who I gave a 10 out of 10 to. I feel like he would be the better option over Pellegri here. At this age, I don't really think his physicals are going to change all that much, but I still think he's a decent player. Again, we'll give him a 7 out of 10, I think. Still a good player, and it's been really fun so far to look at some of your guys' picks, but we've got 2 more to check out. One of which is Villarreal player Fernino. Now, I must say, I agree with this one. I have used this guy in my own Villarreal save a couple of years ago. We signed him in a rebuild on my channel as well, if I remember correctly, and he went on to be, like an unbelievable level striker. I'm talking top in the Premier League scoring charts, and he was one of the first few players where I looked at and went, that's why you're overpowered, because of what you have in the in-game engine, and that is the physical attributes of a beast. Yes, he's 6'3", but he's actually decently quick, not amazingly, and he's not changing direction rapidly quick or anything like that, but he's got a little bit of pace to him, but really, he's strong. He's really tall, he's good in the air, and he's got good finishing ability. Combine that with some nice mental attributes and good off-the-ball work, you can see why this guy gets himself in the right places at the right times to score goals. Whether that's headers, tap-ins, or good finishes, he's also a complete forward option, which is something that isn't easy to find, and he's got a lot of ability all around. He's playing for the Villarreal B team in this save, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up for Villarreal on most occasions. Sometimes, though, he does end up leaving on a free, so keep your eye on him. But I'm a big fan of Fernino. Don't think he's as good as some strikers, but I do think he is like an 8 out of 10 kind of player. And he's someone that if you haven't tried yet, you should certainly give him a go. So great call for that suggestion of Fernino. And now we move on to our last player. And this is another one that I did actually know about. It's Bodo Glimt's midfielder, Hugo Vettelson. Now I will say, as a side note, if you want to sign some cheap players that are already really good, go to Bodo Glimt. You'll find some great talent over there. But this Norwegian is valued at only about £2 million. His contract is up at the end of your first season, not even at the end, midway through your first season, should I say. So if you keep an eye on him, you could get yourself an absolute bargain. But he is An unreal talent, great technically, great mentally, great physically. He's one that I've signed in a few rebuilds already on my own channel because he does end up being a free agent most commonly in your saves. 22 years of age, a future Norwegian international. Check him out. A great call on that. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 because I'm a big fan of him, particularly when it comes to his price point. Whether he's massively OP in game is another question, but the price that you can get him for, he can basically just, come on the pitch, score 2 goals a season and you'd be happy. The fact that he comes onto the pitch and creates loads of chances, scores a bunch of goals and plays at a really high level, it makes him even better. So Hugo Vettelson is our final player. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.